And welcome to the Daily Space Weather Show. If you're looking for the in-depth coverage, we got you covered. We got some fresh close-ups and what's going on with the closest star today at the Smash News Network. Least busted. Naming news. That's the past 24 hours. Today we put 335 angstroms along with the 304. It creates great movement, motion, dynamism. It's good at showing active regions and filaments. 335 is good at showing the extended corona as well. It is the blue portion. 304 angstroms is the red. Most active area has been, as forecasted yesterday, down there in the southwestern limb. There was one M-class flare in the past 24 hours. Besides that, only C-class intensifications. And there is an extreme zoom in. Boo! Anyway, let's take a look at the SDO's continuum. That is December 9th and December 10th to date. Sunspot number here remaining pretty stable over the past 24 hours. We're about to see a big dip in the sunspot number unless new spots rise, as we've got dozens of sunspots about to set on the western limb. There's a colorized magnetogram for the past it's nearly 48 hours. That is December 9th and December 10th to date. Quick note, if you enjoyed the content, press the like button. If you didn't see our Who Are You Wearing video, did you see that? Did you see it? Did you see it? You didn't see it? Okay, it's about fashion, so I don't know. Get normal eyebrows. I'll just say that. Seriously though, if you enjoy the channel, consider becoming a member of the Smash Team. That's the best way to support the channel. Smashomash.com/Smash Team. Get additional content. And preferred status, really. I mean, if you want specific things to be covered in the videos, Smash Team members get first dibs on those suggestions. Also, if you'd like to ask a particle physicist a question, we've got a new segment on every Friday. The deadline is Wednesday evening. When I wake up Thursday morning, the question gets submitted. You can find the Ask a Particle Physicist segment submission zone at smashomash.com/forum. Just scroll down to a general science forum, and you'll find Ask a Physicist. Actually, Ask a Particle Physicist question. Smashomash.com/forum. It's the pinned thread in the general science forum. The following are paid endorsements. And of course, smashomash.com/Smash Team is a paid endorsement unless you're bronze level. That'll cost you a whopping $0 per month. You can find our Hemp Lucid shop linked below the video. Don't forget to enter the promo code SMASHOMASH10. On checkout, it'll save you 10%. SMASHOMASH10 on checkout saves you 10% at hemplucid.com. Another paid endorsement is Chrome Shoes. Yes, part of our spacewear collection. Chrome Shoes with color-changing LEDs in the soles. That's today's featured product from Amazon.com/shop/Smashomash. Amazon.com/shop/Smashomash. Stock up on your spacewear. If you don't have some chrome shoes, well, you're going to go to space without chrome shoes? What are you, crazy? Today's featured product on Redbubble is Don't Be an Imbecile. Don't be an imbecile, comma, imbecile. You can actually use it thrice in one sentence, yeah. Because it's an adjective and a noun, and you could call it somebody like a proper noun, too. So it'd be like, don't be an imbecile. Don't be an imbecile. Imbecile. Get it? Because it's like, well, anyway. The point is, folks, it's an adjective. Yeah, imbecile, it's an adjective. Not just an old-timey psychological term for people that's have an IQ of an incredibly low level. It's also an adjective. And welcome to the Neo Renaissance. SmashOmash.com is the homepage. SmashOmash.com. Visit our links. You'll find the links right there. And let's get back to... not that. Let's get back to volcanoes, actually. Volcanoes are next. So, these are the erupting volcanoes. At the moment, Sakurajima is producing a 7,000-foot ash plume. Luitolo, 6,000-foot ash plume. Semeru, 14,000-foot ash plume over East Java from Semeru. About an 8,000-foot ash plume from Dakono. Popocatépetl, 20,000-foot ash plume. Shout out to Mike. Shout out to Mike. Make sure you go visit Popocatépetl and don't pole vault the caldera. Sancha Guido exploding in Guatemala, flight level 150. Fuego in Guatemala, flight level 150. Not detected from Nevado del Ruiz in Colombia. Sporadic volcanic ash puffs from Sabancaya in Peru. It's another reminder, folks. Don't pole vault the caldera. It could be unhealthful. Next seismic activity. These are the earthquakes of the past 90 days. And we've been seeing continued activity in the North Atlantic on the Reykjanes Ridge, part of the Mid-Atlantic Ridge there, well south of Iceland, nowhere near the island nation. But lots of 5 and greater magnitude quakes happening there, like a 5.0 and a 5.2. Indonesia also had a 5.2. Another 5.2 at the Reykjanes Ridge. So the most seismically active place in the world right now, actually in the North Atlantic. Also, Peru had a 5.0 and then a 5.7, so that looked like some foreshock activity there. That 5.7 occurring at 11:52 Universal Time this morning. East Pacific Rise had a 5.1 out in the middle of nowhere. Mariana Islands region had a 5.7. Philippines had a 5.0 as that finally settles down. Indonesia had a 5.0, and that is the end of our 5 and greater magnitude earthquake report. Let's get back to some solar imagery. We're going to come back to this one a little bit later in the video. That's 24 hours of SDO 304 plus 193 angstroms. Classic wavelengths for showing filaments, coronal holes, active regions, prominences, and just general depth. Great field of view from those wavelengths. Anyway, next is some stats. I should say next are some stats. The 10.7 centimeter radial flux now down to 128 solar flux units, I think it is. 128. Looks about right. 127 is the radial flux. That's the past year. And getting right around the recent average here, around 130 for the past few months there, the past about 3 months. Around 130 average, it looks like. And yeah, it looks like there is some slight upticks in space weather coming here, according to NOAA. Multiple minor CME impacts. We did see some of them actually have a tiny effect. That's the Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard if you want to check it out yourselves. And next we'll get to Earth's magnetic moment from space. What happened? All right, here we go. Again, things are quite calm. And we did see 2 tiny little CME brush pasts, barely even what would be considered a CME impact. We'll get to it here in a moment. So that's Earth's magnetosphere to about 12 Earth diameters. Here are the past 4 hours of Earth's magnetic moment from the ground. And we're terribly sorry that there is no apocalypse to be forecasted from these data. KP index at 1.33. 1.33 is the KP. An average of global geomagnetism. And here's the ACE. The last readings were about 4 protons per cubic centimeter at 350 kilometers a second. To discover a little more up to date here, more like 3.5 protons per cubic centimeter at 435 kilometers per second. So here's a little CME impact. Very minor. And then another recent uptick here just happening in the past couple of hours. Also very minor, but very timely. If you've seen our previous forecasts, I guess if you know, you know. Cheers. GOES magnetometers remain smooth. No big spikes there, no surprise, no major space weather showing up recently. Next, our top view ecliptic plane field plot. Brought to you from the National Solar Observatory and the Smash News Network. Least busted name. In news, South Pole sector on the way, folks. South Pole magnetic sector. Oh, it looks like it's breaking down there. You know what this means? This means we are likely to see sunspot growth in the southern hemisphere. So we're seeing the North Pole current sheet extending. So we are expecting now to see sunspot growth. Yeah, sunspot growth. Actually, in the northern heliographic portion. Yes. Because we've already got the fields reversed here. So northern polar fields are down in the southern region at the moment. So we're actually expecting possibly a growth of those, possibly a rising of sunspots there, or maybe a formation of sunspots in the northeast. So that's, check it out. The North Pole sector has extended all the way to the far side there. That's the latest image. Here's our line of sight ecliptic plane field plot. Likelihood of major sunspots here about to rise or form in the northeast. These are just facts. And here is our line of sight field plot. So we're going to see some rapid motions over there on the B field. Yep, quite a bit. Quite a bit. So high possibility of sunspots rising or forming in the northeast. Watch the B field right at the end get pulled up to the north. Whoops, there it goes. Here's our line of sight coronal hole plot. And we do have some South Pole oriented coronal holes here rotating in. Looks like some magnetic indecision happening once again around the equatorial eastern limb. You'll see it on the last image here, right in there. Actually, let's go back. Yep, you see some magnetic indecision happening there. Whoops. Interesting stuff. There you go. That's the latest image, and let's switch to the SDO. So here we've got quite well-defined coronal holes here rotating through. These are of North Pole orientation. Very long, stringy coronal hole system there with a large section in the middle. Not quite on the equator, but that coronal hole system does stretch across the equator. Here's a great view of it appearing to grow. It's not necessarily growing. It could just be a perspective thing. As plasma in the corona has a tendency to obscure coronal holes when they're not in the Earth-facing zone. So this could become more well-defined and even, quote, larger, end quote, at least larger in appearance, as it rotates in here. We could be watching it open up here for the coming couple of days. So quite nice view there of a trans-equatorial coronal hole system there. That's all North Pole-oriented magnetism, by the way. And let's move into sunspots. Sunspot number came down since yesterday, and we're expecting a big dip tomorrow unless we see new spots rise or form. So we could maybe be all the way down to just over 100 tomorrow. Downtick in sunspots likely coming in the next 24. Flare probability monitor and scoreboard. What is it showing? It is indeed showing not a very high likelihood of large flares even in the southwestern limb. With that, I disagree. So now, as these things get closer and closer to the limit, it's harder to tell the fields. So it's harder and harder to say that those are viable sunspots to produce large flares. However, our regular viewers would be well aware that just the proximity to the limb itself raises the percentage possibility of a large flare being produced. So, whatever, let's move on. Here is the SDO continuum. Again, not a lot of changes happening in the past 24. Once again, I'll say it again. The most likely place to see a new sunspot form or rise is going to be right in this quadrant. So those are the facts, and I'm sticking to them. Next, energetic particles, we ain't got none. The ghost proton flux remains flatlined. Base levels for the solar energetic particles. And check it out, a flare going on as we make the video. Only one of 2 M-class flares for the past 24 hours. And guess where it's coming from? The southwestern limb. So, how you like them apples? Anyway, moving right along to the SDO imagery. That is 94 angstroms. And we'll zoom way, way in after we show 131 angstroms. Again, an M-class flare kicking off as we produce the video. Here's the extreme close-up. Shoo-wee! The Smash News Network, least busted name of news, got some fresh footage. Anyway, time for a star chart. It's star chart time. And here you go. Ta-da! Let me press now. That's where things are. Some gas giants up there in the nightly sky. Next, our solar system forecast. Here's where things are today. We'll advance this 1 week. That's where they'll be on the 17th. We'll have a crescent waxing moon by the 17th. And we'll be barely a week from Christmas. What a year. Very fast. Check it out. It's the Big Dipper. Did you know the stars in the Big Dipper are all part of a similar cluster? They're all moving in like the same relative real motion type direction. Did you also know that these two stars right here? So here's the Big Dipper. For those of you not aware, like our southern hemisphere viewers may not be, that's the Big Dipper right there. And interestingly enough, these two stars right here point right at Polaris. So if you weren't aware of that, that could help you. The Big Dipper is pretty conspicuous in the sky. There's a view of it over Pyramid Mountain located in somewhere, Alberta, Canada. The apod.nasa.gov astronomy photo of the day. Next, CMEs. And it's been pretty chill, folks. It's been pretty chill for CMEs. There are yesterday's frames. That is 106 frames from yesterday. Here are 90 more from today. And no real major CMEs here over the past 24 hours, it looks like. Let's move on to look at the C3 as well. Surprisingly quiet. Even though we named one of those filaments the Vladimir Putin filament. Anyway, let's just skip ahead here and show stereo A along with the difference imagery from stereo A. There it is, right there, that red circle. And again, things have been pretty chill for the past 24. Doesn't look like we have any new incoming CMEs to report on tonight's space weather content. So that's stereo A and difference imagery. Let's switch to our custom coronagraphs. There's everything all synchronized. Maybe a minor earthly directed CME in there. If so, it's quite diffuse. Nothing real exciting to look at. Certainly some activity right ahead of this coronal hole, it looks like. So could be another Earth-directed CME. Looks like Tamitha-Skov has a possibility of some CME impacts here in the coming few days, so tend to agree with Tamitha most of the time. Just happened to notice one of the tweets. Shout out to Tamitha-Skov. Here we've dropped the C3 and added 304 angstroms to the SDO imagery. And right in here, there does appear to be a filamentary release, so that could be another Earth-directed CME likely to arrive sometime late in the day on the 13th. That would be Wednesday, the 13th. So a little bit more on the way, it looks like here, but pretty minor, quite diffuse, and a little bit on the stealthy side. Here is just the SDO imagery. That's 193 plus 304. Crown prominence at the southern polar region and lots of big filaments. And check it out, there is an active region up there behind the northeastern limb. Maybe behind the southeastern limb too, but certainly I see some significant activity there behind the northeast. I see huge filaments suspended as well as likely flaring activity over there. So looks like a large sunspot may be about to rise here. That be some forecasting. These be some forecasts, man. And now it is time to switch to filaments. Filaments. The one in the south moving toward the western limb, that's the Vlad Putin filament. And that's the only one that's got a name right now. We do have some that could be named in the northeast up there. Also one in the north central region. One south of Vladimir Putin. Maybe that one should be known as the Lukashenko. Maybe that should be the Lukashenko filament, the one that's under Putin, so to speak. This one right here, the Lukashenko filament. What do you think? Here is the grayscale imagery. And again, I would note this large filament rising up here. It's looking like some pretty significant activity going on up there. A likely new sunspot, which we forecasted via our top view ecliptic plane field plot. That's called understanding how the data ties together and the physics. We'll close out our space weather before getting to bonus features with the... There you go. There is the latest from the GOES 18 SUVi. Again, that latest M-Class flare coming from down here, where you would have probably been expecting it had you done things like watch our daily space weather video from yesterday. Anyway, here come bonus features. First, satellite charging hazards. We don't have any. It is smooth sailing for satellites, no surface charging or internal charging. The GOES electron flux. There it is. Ta-da! And we're in pretty high levels of electron flux here. Once again, the GOES 18. Right around noon local time for it. There is the 1-year graph to contextualize the relativistic electrons. And here is the forecast model. NOAA expecting a minor downtick. I would tend to agree. These things don't stay up high forever. They tend to dissipate. So next, that thing, the ionosphere map. It's the F-flare right there. One slice, about 300 kilometers of altitude, is about where the F-flare is located. Here it is. That is the previous day's activities at the bridge between Earth and space. Here's the anomaly in megahertz from the 30-day median. There's the latest image. 22:45 Universal Time. And this just in, an important message from Smash staff. She's told me to let you know to shut up that mutt. Smash staff, important message coming through from Smash staff. She says, shut up that mutt. Next, the WHAM, the whole atmosphere model. The Global Ionosphere Nowcast. Ta-da! Depicting total electron content over here and over there. Over there. Yeah, over there. The maximum usable frequency. Next, total electron content. Dude, what happened? Total electron content. But first, don't forget to follow us on Twitter. If you do the social media thing, follow us on Twitter, or else there will be repercussions. Hey, everybody. Alex Jones is back on Twitter. Are you excited? Are you indifferent? Let us know in the comments. And make sure you follow us on x.com/SmashOmash, otherwise known as Twitter. If you enjoy the content, press like. If you're new to the channel, do yourself a favor and press subscribe. Were you aware that the channel does the most detailed solar imagery and most comprehensive daily space weather video in the known universe? It's true. There it is. The numbers speak for themselves, folks. Thanks to our new YouTube subscribers. Congratulations on realizing the channel exists. We're frankly surprised that you found it with the state of affairs on social media. The censorship is pathetic. Have you seen our latest video from today? Of course, the thumbnail says, "Who are you wearing?" But the title's actually something different. Go see our latest videos. Who are you wearing? Are you wearing a frumpy jumper? Do you have a moon boot on your head? Who are you wearing? Some pretty funny moments. And again, don't forget to subscribe to Eugene the Philosopher. Eugene the Philosopher, the greatest living philosopher, since the unfortunate passing of Robert de Nameland. Eugene the Philosopher. Make sure you subscribe today, because the eons are closing. Next, the total electron content. And I don't like this full screen. There we go. That's better. There's a total electron content forecast. These are the areas where you might expect to see GPS errors. We'll close out space weather with the latest continuum and latest SDO magnetogram. Likely sunspot rising up here, no sign of it yet. Again, expecting a big dip in the sunspot number tomorrow. And let's move to meteorology. So lots of heavy weather hitting the eastern U.S. And here is what's been going on. So this trough of low pressure right here with higher pressure on both sides of it. You can see all that air rushing toward this extended low. That's all lower pressure. That is mean sea level pressure that we're showing right there, and surface winds. So a prime example of the way a low pressure system attracts the rest of that higher pressure air to it as air rushes in from both sides, largely fixing that moisture in place as this system is moving almost like this, and that is making for some very moist conditions indeed in places like where we're located. We'll show you some more in-depth imagery of that a little bit later in the video. The world's lowest pressure, currently in the Southern Ocean. It is pretty stormy down there. Anyway, here come the surface winds of the eastern world. From the Smash News Network least busted name. In news, with a little bit of assistance from nullschool.net. Nullschool.net, folks. There's the jet stream scenario for the east, the jet stream scenario for the central world. Surface winds of the central world, surface winds of the west, and our jet streams. Next, clouds and fog over the western world. Shout out to our viewers from the Americas. Next, the strongest storms right now are off the coast of Cape Hatteras. You can see some big clouds in there. That is shortwave radiation showing clouds and fog even at night, as this system slowly makes its way to the north. The flood warnings have not expired. In fact, they continue on. There's also some snow in the forecast for the mid-Atlantic states. So here is snow this is rain accumulation over the next 3 days. That's the GFS model. Here's the Euro model. Again, GFS, Euro. And here's the Euro model for new snow for the next 3 days. And there is the GFS. Again, Euro for new snow, GFS for new snow for the next 3 days. Continuing right along, some hard freeze warnings in Texas. Lots of weather alerts across the U.S., including blizzard warnings in parts of Alaska, tornado watches in the Carolinas and in Virginia. Some severe weather. It's a nor'easter, folks. Anyway, here comes the GFS 72-hour pressure and precipitation forecast. As things mop up in the Pacific Northwest, things get moppable in the east. Lots of moisture coming through. And finally, it's going to start to move to the east. Next, Total accumulated precipitation for the 72-hour GFS model in inches. Precipitation in inches is what we're showing here. 3 days. GFS 72-hour positive accumulated snow depth change in inches. And most of Pennsylvania expecting about an inch. So a little early snowfall there. Perfect. To be considered a nuisance snow to many, shouldn't really cause much trepidation for Pennsylvanian travelers. Next temperature anomaly forecast in degrees Celsius, the same model, GFS 72-hour. 72-hour GFS temperature anomaly forecast in degrees Celsius. Next, lightning. And look at the lightning that went across the Gulf. Just a berserk lightning storm there, stretching all the way from the Yucatan to Georgia. That is a berserk string of lightning there. And let's check our current strikes. We certainly did have some off the coast of Wilmington, Myrtle Beach, etc. And we still indeed do have some fresh strikes happening out there in the Atlantic. Although things have chilled since we did show prep. So there's the current full map from lightningmaps.org. Next time you hear thunder, check it out. Currently about 140 lightning strikes per minute on a global scale. So here's all this moisture, and the heaviest portion is just moving past Annapolis right now. It's just about to hit Philadelphia, Dover, Delaware, Trenton. Looks like it's going to miss us to the east a little bit. We just had some heavy bands just roll through, and I think we've already had the heaviest portions for Lehigh Valley, which is sort of right around this area, if you were wondering. Anyway, here's the full 50-state view for U.S. Doppler. We'll finish up with the lower 48 view. Clouds and fog. And there is water vapor. Again, huge pressure gradients here. This is a relative high pressure. This is a relative low pressure. This is a relative high pressure. And that's why you have such a convergence, such a trapping of all that moisture. Here's your recap. Ground-based Doppler radar systems showing us vertical motion in the air column. Space-based systems showing us infrared radiation at 3.9 micrometers, showing clouds and fog even in pitch darkness. Yeah, clouds, they emit infrared radiation. Heat. Water, it's a greenhouse gas. And last but not least, the water vapor map. And finally, me closing off this video. Thanks for tuning into the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. Congratulations on realizing the channel exists. It's time to go back to the bunker again. I'm going back to the bunker again. I'm really spooked to space, 'cause I don't understand basic physics. Hurl.